Welcome to the IT Security One-to-One Summit podcast series. Listen to industry insiders discuss the most critical issues in IT security. Featured on this episode, David Cass, the Global Chief Information Security Officer for Cloud and SaaS Operations, IBM, talks with Stina Ehrensvard, CEO and founder of Yubico. You are listening to the IT Security One-to-One Summit podcast series.
Hello, my name is David Cass. I'm the Global Chief Information Security Officer for IBM's Cloud and SaaS Operations. I'm joined today by Stina Ehrensvard. She's the CEO and founder of Yubico. Stina, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the information security space is really exploding as a whole, not just as a CISO from a practitioner's point of view, but also from a vendor point of view. There's, so many vendors, so many solutions. As a entrepreneur and as a startup, what brought you into the information security space? And could you talk a little bit about the problem that you're trying to solve?
So the problem Yubico started trying to solve is an alternative to username and password, something that is simple and secure for billions of internet users to log into. And at the time, and still, there wasn't a solution that was easy for everyone. So we came up with a small USB key that identifies itself as a keyboard, and when you touch it, it generates a one-time password that is just like as if I had typed in on a keyboard. And we put that out with open source components, and people from all over the world were starting to buy this online, and one of the customers were Google. We were then encouraged to move some of our team from Stockholm to Silicon Valley and work closely with Google on how do we take this invention, something that you can just log in really easy with, you just touch it, to any number of services. And together with Google, we created a new open standard called FIDO U2F, Universal Second Factor, and it's now part of the FIDO Alliance specs, supported by 200 leading financial and cloud services.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very important point. I think, from a security practitioner's point of view, more and more organizations are leaning towards open source in general as a means of, how do I get better control and better consistency among my environment. So what are your thoughts on open source in general?
I think the key is the open standards. Open standards is and will be the future of strong authentication. It will come through OAuth, which is an open standard for one-time password, through PIV, open standard for smart card, and FIDO specs for public key crypto. That is sort of a simplified version of open standard of smart cards. Open source has two sides. We support both. There are great opportunities with open source because there are big communities who can vet and scrutinize the software. It is also in some way vulnerable when a big community is working on it. So I'm not saying that open source is the only future, but open standard is definitely the future.
And I guess as a startup, for lessons learned in general, what have been some of the challenges you faced as a startup in the security industry?
So when I started presenting a hardware device, I got a lot of pushback. People said, no, the future is the phone. The future is biometric. The future is geolocation or whatever. There was something else that would be the future. And I said, yes, they're correct. The future is all of that. And it's also an external hardware device that you're in control of, that you can use to log into any site in addition to your phone, also complement to your phone or computer. And this is because if you have a device in your hand that is not connected to the internet, you know that you're in control of it. If you also connect that with combined with a user presence, that you literally have to be there and touch it to confirm the transaction, then you will know that it's not a Trojan who've taken over your credential remotely. And so I think there's going to be a wide range of solutions in the future, a wide range of authentication technologies, and they will be very complementary. They're all going to be based on open standard, and they have to be interoperable, and it has to be sort of seamlessly integrated into browsers, into platforms. I'm very excited about this new FIDO U2F standard because it takes public key crypto, smart card technology, but takes away all the complexity. It's like a PKI without the I. Okay. It doesn't have any drivers, any readers, any client software, or the complex CA model that we've seen together with smart cards.
Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, that's a very important point because I think There's a lot that can be done with encryption and public key, but the thing is, sometimes it's very, very complex, and usually the more complex the solution, the harder it is to implement and the less likely it is to actually be used.
Yeah, absolutely. I sometimes use the metaphor about the three-point seatbelt. It was invented by Volvo, and the inventor behind it said it has to be simple, has to work within a second, in one hand. Ordinary people do not want to be uncomfortable even for a minute. And with that approach, he developed a three-point seatbelt, and then he said it also has to be an open standard. So Volvo contributed this to the world and said it has to be in every car, and eventually there was government regulation. But I'm completely convinced that's how it has to start. It has to be super easy, integrated, in every device, and just this seamless user experience. So the user experience, both with the Yubico that we started with and the public key crypto, both with the PIV and in the ONE2ONE protocol, is just a simple touch. Mm-hmm. You don't have to retype a code. You don't have to open your phone and look for an app and do other more steps, and literally it's just a simple touch. We do combine all these three protocols on the same device because they're going to continue to coexist. Oath works with legacy systems, PIV for computer login, and FIDO ONE2ONE is now getting integrated in major platforms and browsers.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. And in general, usually I ask some of the other CISOs some of their tips for other CISOs. But in this case, as a security startup, as an entrepreneur, what are some tips that you would give to other potential entrepreneurs in the security industry that made you successful?
So I'm very passionate about internet. I think it's the most fantastic invention ever created by mankind, and it would be sad to see it fail because there hasn't been security measures. And it didn't start as a solution that was designed for security. It was designed for sharing. So it was opposite of security, actually. And it now is used in so many more fantastic ways than the early creators envisioned it to be used for. And we, mankind, needs to actually find solutions to help make it sustainable, not only now, but in the future, because our whole society is completely depending on it. As individuals, as organizations, as companies, as countries. And if it fails, it's just like going back to Stone Age.
Well, Stina, thank you so much, for sharing your insights with us. You're definitely, being in the information security space, you have an interesting solution to, a challenge that a lot of organizations are dealing with. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the IT Security One-to-One Summit podcast series. To listen to other podcasts or for more information on the IT Security One-to-One Summit, visit us at one2onessummits.com/ITSec. That's ONE2ONE summits.com/ITSEC.